Hey guys, this is Deepak here from digitaldeepak.com. And today we have Priyanka from the batch 5 of the Digital Deepak internship program today on the call. So, hey Priyanka, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
Good?
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
You too. So, tell me, Priyanka, about your professional journey and how you ended up finding about the Digital Deepak internship program. What is the progress you have made so far?
Okay. So my professional journey started with a no surprise journey of school and then college and then MBA, and I finished an MBA in 2003. So I'll come to why I feel that is an important year to refer back to in the conversation and remind me if I missed that out. So
Sure.
after you do an MBA in 2003, I was interested in finance. So I joined what came along, and I rose up to getting appointed to the treasury desks of an MNC bank.
Oh, wow.
But
Okay. Which bank?
so that's where that was Stancy that time, but I didn't join that bank.
Okay.
So it was that's the time when you start making more conscious choices because you'd already run the mill, you'd seen the turf, you've spent long enough to understand the good and the not so good of it, and
Hmm.
you've had the time to reflect. So that time you're not married, and or even if you're married, you're really understanding how the world is functioning for you as an individual outside your own home comfort. So that's the year those are the years which I spent with formal work, and that's where I learned a lot about finance. But I must tell you what I also learned. So my first job, when I wanted to do work with finance, and I got appointed at Coffee Day, and I opted for their exports division, which was the least glamorous. In fact, that time it wasn't even called Coffee Day; it was called ABC. It was called Amalgamated Bean Coffee Trading Company. If I was to tell my friends, I wouldn't. They'd like your MBA friends. They would snigger at you like Amalgamated Bean Coffee is where you work. So you'd like say, no, I work with Coffee Day. And what was I doing? So other than the fact that I was fixing prices on London Financial Futures Exchange and drafting reports for domestic coffee, and you were understanding demand, supply, coffee auction, going to coffee board auction, I got a chance to work at the estate, and I was running a project which would then certify our estates as fair trade, and that would improve the kind of revenues that we make for selling green coffee on the international markets. So why am I sharing that story? So I'm sharing that story to say that very early in work, I realized that it's not what I was qualified to do because I was not qualified for coffee. I remember sitting across the table with Sri Vijay Siddharth's father and him asking me, "Oh, so you're from the city?" City meaning CITY city. And he asked me, so what seeds should I sow? And I was finance background. So the only thing I could do was to not make a fool of myself and say, ki, okay, and I don't know how I managed to wriggle out of that question, but I remember that question and I remember being stumped and I remember being so miserably uncomfortable saying, I can't give a stupid answer and I can't answer this question in honesty because I don't know atom of coffee and seeds. So what am I doing in front of somebody with that kind of experience? But the realization really was that you need to put your head down and start learning. So while you had finished with your college and your MBA and your finance, you had to continuously learn. And that's the only thing that sailed you through the many years of the financial world, and in which you were learning derivatives, you were learning trading desk, you were learning markets, you were practically learning every data analysis, which we now call data analysis, data science. And you were learning quite literally every day, and you had no option but to keep yourself abreast, because if you had to sit across the table and speak about somebody's money, the least you needed to do was not sound dumb,
Hmm.
because somebody who has been able to walk that path, either inherited or otherwise, has obviously seen a lot more of the world than you have. So the one thing that sailed me through and sailed me through all the way from the estate right up to MNC treasury desk was the fact that I would I would very seriously and very sincerely try to upgrade skill. So after
Hmm.
I chose not to get appointed, the questions then started. to do, why and why not. Because had I taken up that option, I knew where I would have ended up with a lot more money and a lot. But then those are times when you're also integrating yourself with the choices of family. You're growing older. Nobody's becoming younger. There's a biological clock. And I didn't want it to be a woman only question. Like I did not want it to be because I was the girl and I was the lady of the house. What were my options? So that was point one. And the point two was that I did not want me to be one more sorry story of, you know, ट्रेनों में धक्के खा रहे हैं क्योंकि we decided to pursue career and but there are issues that there is, no matter how forward we become, and this is true for across the world because I've lived in foreign lands as well, it is the lady's responsibility to be able to nurture the future generation, like it or not. That is the truth of the world. And everybody who tries to pursue two boats at some stage does get questioned and does get scrutinized for it. So neither did I want my story to be the one, hi bichari, ki it is difficult on both work and kid front. So that is the story I did not want for myself. And the other story that I did not want for myself was to not be able to pursue what more could life offer. So I had already reached the pinnacle of what I could, but how do you explore if you don't quit when you are at the peak and go on? So I chose the option of, in fact, the funny thing was that when I was getting interviewed at that stage, without children also, I was getting interviewed. When are you planning to have children? How are you going to manage? And my children had, so that question didn't change even after the kids came along. I still get asked the same question. How many children do you have? How will you manage? Where will they go when you come to work? So those are questions which are just so real that they haven't gone. They haven't gone either before or after. So what do you do? So what did I realize along the way? I realized two things: that firstly, work got done away from internet. So whatever that you do gets done while you're not in a meeting, while you're not being interviewed, while you're not looking fancy in social media. That is when you're actually adding value. And the second thing you realized was that the skill that I carry is mine, irrespective of where it gets monetized, for lack of a better word. So it was a continuous journey of what my skill is and how do I improve on it and how do I add. So I started taking up my first assignments at Odesk, that time Odesk, now Upwork. There's a review of that work. And once you had review of your work public, there was no hiding from the skill that you had. Either you had it or you didn't. If either you were 5-starred and you will get your next project, or you were not, and there was no running away from it. So you kept it. So since then, life and career as such has been a constant evaluation of what my interests are, how do I build on my skill, and how do I try to make sure that there is somebody in the world who will find value in the work that I can offer and I bring to the table, both in terms of skill and personality, so that I can keep continuing. So it's been fun. It's been great to be building. DD was a part of DD. Troopers was a part of that effort. And I have never shied away from saying that the value that we drive and the sincerity with which the basic details are shared is respect commendable. So appreciate what you do.
Thank you. Thank you. You asked me to remind about 2003.
Yeah.
A turning
So why
point in your
2003
career.
is, yeah. So I have to tell you that for somebody who did MBA in 2003, digital marketing was not a word we learned, even
Yes.
in the best of the colleges.
Yes.
So why 2003 is extremely important is that if you did anything in the name of marketing and MBA in 2003, in 2021, you're definitely out of sync because you have completely missed the bus. For me, I started exploring digital world in 2010 because I made that choice for myself. But it's only now that I understand all this drama is called digital marketing. For me, it's not even digital marketing. For me, I now realize that it's easier to call it digital marketing and then probably, get caught for a keyword. But for me, for the longest time, when I ask myself, what do I do? The, 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 the more appropriate answer would be web presence.
Yes.
Because it's not that you're trying to sell something, it's just that you're trying to leverage your presence in the virtual medium So to be able to add the value that you carry to a project that does exist, the internet happens to be a very nice place to find that one person who values your skill, and that can of course be in India, and in this connected world he could be anywhere in the world. So I have worked with foreign projects, but I have worked with projects out of Lebanon, and
Mm,
I've worked with projects out of say London, but through a guy based in Bangladesh. And I
mm,
worked for
mm.
a project which was a social media site in Haiti for a young chap who was doing something out of China. So when you start working in that space, you realize how connected the world can be,
Yes, yes,
and how boundaries and visas are like a little bit of a can do without space.
yes, yes,
And
exactly.
if you did MBA in 2003, you're pretty much a dinosaur if you kind of haven't kept yourself abreast to
Yes, yes.
how internet has shaped the world.
In fact, the way I look at it is that, see, I started my first website in 2006, and that was just a
Yeah,
website for my dad's construction company. And I
right.
learned what is a domain name, I learned what is hosting. And at that time, you had websites with flashing things. And, in fact, the fanciest thing I did at that time was that if you move the mouse, the words of the website at that time, it was called DV Builders, and the letters would just trail behind the mouse. That was fancy. And there are all these HTML tricks at that time, and I was just trying it out, and I did not even understand what name servers were at that time. And a dad's friend of
Yeah.
mine who is like working in IBM, he was like just basically telling me like first domain name I registered at yahoo.com, and there was this name servers to be updated, then get a hosting. So that was my first experience, that's where I got into it. Obviously, just after I got my first broadband connection, that was a BSNL connection, 256 uh, kbps connection. That was broadband at that time. And before that, I had the dial-up connection, which was 56.6 kbps. You had that modem which makes that sound
And
before
do you
connecting.
recall the time when the hooray time when the dial-up connection actually connected?
Yes,
Like
yes.
when that little dot moved from that stand light angle to
Yes,
when we
yes.
got connected, you're like, yeah, it actually
Yeah,
got connected.
yes, you get this dopamine rush whenever it gets connected or finally connected. So today,
Yeah.
whatever we have, we take it for granted. But at that time, I used to browse from morning 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. because it was cheaper at that time, because you basically had to
Yeah.
use your telephone line to connect. And a 10 MB file used to take like 1 hour to download. So I remember
Yeah.
downloading Yahoo Messenger on a very old Pentium 3 computer. And I think the best investment was probably my dad buying me a computer when I was in seventh standard. So it was a
Yeah.
Pentium 3 system with 233 megahertz processor and 2 GB of hard disk. I think RAM was like 32 MB or something. And obviously, we start with playing games and everything, but then you slowly, start having other interests. So
Yeah.
that was probably my first internet thing that I started. Before that, I was pirating game CDs and selling in my school for a profit.
Who was not?
Uh, I think that was my first entrepreneurial venture, where I used to buy a CD for like, I think 16, 17 rupees, like a blank CD, and if you have like a 2 CD game or a 3 CD game, then I would sell it for like 100 rupees or 150 rupees and make some profit. I used to like go around school with a catalog. These are all the 15 games that I have. If you want something, 100 or 150 rupees, I will write it and give it to you. So I had a CD writer at that time. So I literally fought with my dad to get a CD writer on that system, which costed like 4,000 rupees. And at that time, it was like 4,000
Extra.
rupees. And my mom was like, why do you need a CD writer? You have a CD reader. No, what will you do with it? So, but I was just, just crazy about it. Oh, like you can write data on a CD. Like, wow, how cool is that? So I think 750 MB or something like that was the capacity at that time. It was not even DVD, it was CD. And then DVD came with 4.3 GB of data. That was like a huge upgrade. So yeah, so back to
You
2000.
missed the floppies. You missed
Ah, yeah,
the
yeah.
transition from that 5-inch floppy to the 3.5.
Yes,
I used to find
yes,
them very fancy. But
yes.
the
I
three
was
and a
like,
half is something
oh, now the
different.
floppies are smaller. Like this is high technology.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had that big floppy disks, and then you
Yeah,
had
you
that
missed the
smaller floppy
complete.
disk, which was a little bit stiffer. And
Yeah.
then like looking at the CD tray was like amazing. Like, the CD tray is coming out. It's so cool, like smooth.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
cool it will say the CD in it.
Yeah, you just press the button and it's like comes out. And then I used to like play with
Yeah.
it. I used to keep pressing it. So yeah, I think you played games like Dave, Dangerous Dave, and very very basic games at that time. And you had this computer internal speaker, just beeping.
Yeah.
So yeah, back to 2006, my dad's friend put me in touch with another guy who was doing affiliate marketing, and he was making $2,000 a month at that time, promoting products at ClickBank. And then I understood Google AdSense, Google AdWords, affiliate marketing, created a blog, put AdSense on it, and then I signed up for Commission Junction. So my Commission Junction account is like the first check is like 2006. Like it's still there. It's still the same account,
Nice.
and the first commission goes all the way up to back to 2006. But yeah, since then I've made like a ton of mistakes. I think my biggest regret is not buying Bitcoin in 2010 or 2013.
I was in
2013 is when I
LA
bought it.
3 years back, and my husband would still tell me like, had we bought Bitcoin that day. But the problem with bankers and problem with people at financial background is that they know too much.
Yes, yes. In fact,
So
I
that leap
also
of
knew too
faith
much.
is a very difficult thing to do.
Yeah, yeah.
So leap of faith is a very, you just know too much to know. But my reason of not buying was that, okay, we'll buy it, but how will we sell it? So if I can't sell it and if I can't get my money back, then what do I do with it? It's like having a house in South Bombay. If you're
So I
living in
think
it, fantastic.
my biggest curse of knowledge was knowing how much it was a threat to central banks and how central banks work. I used to read a lot of books
Yeah.
about finance, and I used to read books about how this M1 money supply, M2 money supply. If you know that Citibank had a report called Plutonomics, which was very controversial and it was taken down as well. I somehow got that report as well. So I used to be like very deep in it, and considering how much Bitcoin is a threat to central banks, I was like pretty sure that government would ban it. That was the reason for me not to touch it, right?
They
I knew
did.
too much. Hmm. So, so yeah, I was
Yeah.
about to
So
say
that's
something.
the problem with knowing too much.
Yes,
I
yes.
also got a cup of tea.
Yeah. So yeah, back to 2006. So I was doing some affiliate marketing, and 2008, I had a placement offer from a company, but they called me only in 2009. So 2008, I graduated, and 2008, I started my motorcycle blog. And by 2009, the blog was already making like 15-20,000 rupees a month. And digital marketing was not a term at that time, and it was
Right.
called internet marketing. And
Right.
people were like just like trying to drive traffic, make money with affiliate marketing. It was a very non-corporate thing to do this internet marketing thing. By 2012, I sold my blog for $25,000. It was getting like a million page views a month. That was my first mini startup exit, and I moved to Bangalore from Salem, and I joined a company as a digital marketer. And since then, I worked in 5 different companies. So 2013 is when I registered digitaldeepak.com. So NIIT was the first institute to have a digital marketing course at that time. And I was like able to see that this term digital marketing is going to be the key term. I knew the power of internet marketing. I did social media, I did email list building, I did SEO, everything to grow Bike Advice. Because I had to grow Bike Advice, I had to learn the entire integrated digital marketing thing. But nobody called it digital marketing at that time. In fact, until 2012, there was no competition in the online publishing space for motorcycles and cars. My friends back at that time used to be like few bloggers who were like just outliers. One guy has stuck to what he has been doing until now. His name is Faisal Khan, and he runs a blog called motorbeam.com. And now he has like a very big YouTube channel. Like every latest BMW, Audi, he reviews it, and he has like more than 1 million subscribers right now. But at that time, I kind of moved away from publishing because I knew that I wanted to learn more. I wanted to build a startup. I wanted to get this corporate experience. So based on my Bike Advice experience, I got a job. And I think 2013 May, when I registered Digital Deepak, I think that was like the best investment ever, like investing in Bitcoin, because I knew that, okay, now everybody is using this term called digital marketing. So the corporate version of internet marketing is called digital marketing. So I could see it unfolding. And now it's like everybody is talking about digital marketing, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, where I was coming to cut the long story short, is that you were saying that digital marketing is just about, web presence, and I actually would put digital marketing in a much different perspective. So the way I look at it, let's say communication, right? When humans started communicating, they probably started with sign language, which was a little bit more efficient than what other species were communicating. Then they had language, which was vocal, and then they had numbers, invented numbers, and then finally they invented alphabets, and then they could write it down. So when two humans were there and they were communicating with sign language, or let's say vocal language, that's where the communication began. But when you look at it, these two humans are communicating in real time, in real space. They have to communicate.
Right.
So when writing was invented, that was the first instance where you could say something, put it in writing, and somebody in another time zone can actually read it, right? But it still didn't remove the equation of space. I mean, you had to write it down in a clay tablet, or carve it in a stone. So the person who is
Right.
consuming the information had to be at the same physical space, right? And this is
Right.
what, 70,000 years back, probably when all this started. 12,000 years back, we had the agricultural revolution. And if you have like read Sapiens, it talks about this whole
I've read
timeline of.
Sapiens and the cartoon version of it, which I'm teaching my children.
Oh, what is that?
There is a very nice version that I think it was very intelligent of Yuval Noah Harari to.
Okay.
It's been printed in a hardcover. It's a fat big book,
Oh,
almost A4 size, and he's
okay.
done it as with
And
pen pictures. So
oh,
it's
wow.
like a cartoon strip.
I should totally get
I'll
that,
share a
because
picture.
I've been
Yeah,
trying to
I'll
get
share a
my
picture of what it looks like.
done.
I think you mentioned that in one of your talks. I remember it coming across. I remember recalling it at that time as well,
Okay,
vaguely.
okay.
But there's
Maybe.
what he's done is that so that children, or maybe it's less boring to have a less pictorial. So let me come to you with my pictorial story, and why I and you might understand communication in a similar manner. So
No,
for me,
I will just finish the train
yeah,
of
please
thought.
finish. Yes.
So yeah, so by the way, this I think I have been trying to ask my dad to read *Sapiens*, but he has not got around to reading that big fat book. I think the animated version would help. So yeah, coming back to that point which I was talking about, digital marketing. So yeah, 12,000 years back we had the agricultural revolution, and it was only until very recently, which was like the 17th century, when Gutenberg invented the printing press, and for the first time ever, written text could be replicated. And when you look at,
Right.
it was like a very simple technology where you basically had written text in different molds. You had to like basically assemble the tablet, and then it dips into an ink, and then it puts itself on paper so that you can replicate what you have written. Now when you think about it, it was like so simple. Like, what took humans like until the 17th century to invent it, considering that we have had language for like more than 10,000 years. But even the written text, so before that you had like one copy of every book, right? Unless somebody actually rewrote the entire book, you had one copy of entire book. And reading itself was a luxury. It was limited to the elites. In the Egyptian era and in the Roman era, you had to be like royalty to like access the library, right? Today we have content, information superhighway, but instead of reading books and absorbing all the information, it has kind of gone in a direction with 20-second Instagram reels
Short
and TikTok
circuited is the word.
videos with
I don't know what is content.
shorter attention span. But imagine somebody in 17th century, if they knew this is the world, he would just buy a Kindle and spend the rest of his life just reading, right? Like, I'm royalty, I'll just read. So so today we have an infinite wealth, which is books, and we don't realize that. So coming back to the point, I'll just take one more minute. I think I'm going on and on. I have a habit of doing that. But
Yeah, you're the one who gets to speak most of the time.
yeah, sorry. So yeah, I mean, if I get a listener, then I think I talk. So but yeah, casual, deep intellectual conversations, right? So so the way I look at it is that the communication which has evolved from printed text that can be replicated to then radio to then TV, and then obviously we had newspaper in the middle, to all the way to the internet, where we are able to talk like this live. Obviously this is live, but it has a distance, but at the same time people can watch this recording, and this is as good as somebody sitting next to me and talking to me, right, watching a video. So when you look at it, digital marketing comes back to basically a power to amplify. And if communication and language was the greatest invention of humankind, digital marketing is basically amplifying the communication that has been invented, right? Like, for example, let's say you had a tribe of 500 people, and there was a tribal leader. So this tribal leader, how many people can he address at the same time, right? If he is standing on top of a, let's say, a platform, and he is shouting at the top of his voice in a very silent space, the maximum people that he can address is maybe 500 people. If you had, let's say, 2000 people trying to listen to him, the people in the last row can't even listen to him, right? The voice will not even transfer that much. On top of it, you had to be at the same place. So when you had microphone and when you had a amplifier and a speaker, now we can have conferences with 10,000 people, right? So one of the reasons tribes were not more than 500 people for a very long time was because of this lack of communication and trying to get people on the same line. So when you see digital marketing, it's basically like amplifier, right? It's like a loudspeaker, but a loudspeaker that can that need not, like, people need not be at the same place, and on top of it, people need not be at the same time, right? So, like, for example, the 100-day lead generation course I have, people could subscribe for it today, and for the next 100 days I will be communicating to them independent of time and independent of location. So plus if I create a video and put it there and people are watching my video, it's like me communicating to them, but it's not me communicating to them. It's the digital version of me communicating to them. That's the story behind Digital Deepak. Because it's like, if you have watched Johnny Depp's Transcendence movie, he's basically, his consciousness transcends into the digital networks, right? And he says that I'm living inside the digital network. So I'm like, tomorrow I could like be doing something else. I could be doing gardening or playing with my pet, or roaming around with my girlfriend, but the digital version of me will continue to live and thrive within the system. And the better it does compared to other people who are trying to gain attention on the web, would be the success of it or the failure of it, right? If like right now, if we have at least maybe 50 or 100 people, I don't know the exact number, who are watching my videos on their computers, it's like basically my digital version of me communicating to them. It's the digital impression of me, right? It's like, I call it my ghost in your machine, so like too deep.
Call it Casper next time. Call it Casper next time, at least friendly.
Yes, Casper. Yes. So like, Tom and Jerry, there used to be this one episode called The Ghost in the Machine, or I don't remember exactly, but Tom and Jerry used to get afraid of the vacuum cleaner getting turned on automatically, and they think that there is a ghost inside the machine, right? So this is a ghost inside their machines, right? So yeah, that's what digital marketing is. Coming back to that point, putting a pin on it.
Yeah.
It's just amplification with all the latest technology that you have.
Right.
And I think with the internship program, I have taken it to the next level, because one thing that I realized very early on is that, see, I can create as much content as possible, but I cannot cut through the clutter by adding more to the clutter, right? I cannot scream at the top of my voice where there is a crowded market full of people screaming. That's what is happening on Instagram. Influencers are trying to post more and more shocking content or funny content. And, imagine like 5 years back when people started publishing content, you wouldn't imagine people dancing in front of the camera to get people's attention. But now, very respectable influencers who have a lot of in-depth content are basically dancing in front of the camera. And now they are putting a music, and now this whole new trend of people just, not talking, but putting a music and then saying like this.
Yeah.
I mean, I can never do that. I would like die of cringing if I do that. I mean, no disrespect to the people who are trying to do it, but I feel that they are just blind, not seeing that, like, you had, like, even YouTube video engagement has been leaning more and more towards shorter and shorter content. And then you had TikTok, and then YouTube had something like in, TikTok, and then now Instagram has Reels, and the attention span has been like reducing. And what's next? 5 years down the line, you will have 1 second content, and then 10 years down the line, you'll just have an electric shock. And then, like, where is this going, right? So meaty content has to be delivered. Like, for example, the all my training videos are 2 hours long, right? So how do I make people sit and watch a 2 hour long video? Because it's like eating junk food versus eating healthy food. Eating healthy food is not great while you are eating it, but it's very healthy for you. You feel energetic later on. You eat pizzas, chips, and all these junk food. You feel great in the moment, but then you will feel shitty later. That's what happens with social media, right? People browse social media for 1 hour and just see how shitty you feel. But so I was like, it's not just trying to create good quality content. It's like, how do I motivate people to watch it? So then that was the internship program idea, right? They have to watch a 2 hour video, literally me forcing it down their throat, because they have to do the assignment. Because I'm basically, it's like ransom, right? I'm keeping their money. I will give back the money only after they complete the assignments. So that makes them watch like a 2 hour video. I mean, nowadays,
and put up with Kamna.
Huh?
And put up with the Q&A session
Yes,
after
yes,
that.
yes. Then listen to it and then probably watch the video again. So imagine if I can, get like 1,000 people in a room and talk to them for 40 hours and have their undivided attention. Imagine how powerful would that be? I can like start a cult with that, right?
Which
That's what like these cult gurus do. They are like talking for like, days and weeks to a small set of people, and these people get so influenced, right? So for me, that is influence, right? Like, I don't want a million followers or a 10 million followers who are just liking my Instagram pics with the latest car or latest vacation. It doesn't matter. It's not influence at all.
Right.
The real influence is that, have I impacted their life? Have I told them something meaningful that they have absorbed, thought about it, reflected on it, acted on it? 1,000 people
Right.
like that is like, or 10,000 people like that as of now is like way more influence than any quote unquote influencer who calls themselves an influencer outside on Instagram, right? Recently, we had an issue with, one influencer posting that, hey, what is this guy doing a scam? Calls it internship, but it's not an internship in his company. And she got her Instagram followers to come and comment on my LinkedIn, and everybody was just leaving a one line comment. They could say was commenting for better reach, commenting for better reach. That was their attention span level, right? But then our community came in and they were like giving left, right, and center. They were like writing paragraphs. How can you say that about Deepak? This is a life-changing program, blah 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 blah. I was feeling sorry for her. Like, the community was giving her so much flack. I was feeling
Poor
sorry.
thing. She didn't prepare for that, I guess.
Yeah. So yeah, I will now stop talking and let you talk.
Okay, so I'll come to my bit, and I think what I picked up from your talk was about the fact that we relate in terms of what it means to be communicated, and the fact that something that I continuously worked throughout ever since I started picking up assignments on the internet is how can I communicate it better? And my answers kind of right now like circumvent around two words that I find interesting. And the first is web presence. And the web presence is, it's not to say that I'm trying to sell something. It's just that I am present in a virtual mediums to be able to add value. I do what I do. I can only do as much as I wish to. There are only 24 hours in a day, and I do have interests outside the internet and responsibilities as well. But minus all of that, I like to invest my time. And of course, with time, it's been kind. So like now I'm able to say, I'm surprised we're meeting on a Sunday, because in generally Sunday, I would say a Sunday like, let the Sunday be. But that said, the first word that I want to talk about is web presence, and how we are able to okay, so the way I looked at it and how my professional space shaped up was that with web presence, you were able to break molds. So what does that mean? So if you were in say a job, or if you were in an organization, you would keep rising if you were doing great work, but at some stage you will cap out. Either for the simplest of the reason, you'll cap out for age. You will reach 60 at some stage, and then you will have to give up your directorship, and then you will have, or if you're doing some, like if you're a doctor, then you will have to stop operating because you have crossed that age limit where you will start having biological impact on your dexterity. So those were issues which are real, which will not go away. So the point continues to remain that, does that mean that your skill also vanished along the way? The answer was no. The answer was that you need to be able to display and decimate your skill, and to be able to decimate it beyond the social circle. So coming to point number 2 is when, say, I have a skill, but I don't want to travel 2 hours for whatever reason. It's not just that I'm a woman and I have children and I want to take care of my kids, and I don't want, and I'm snobbish and I don't want to hang out of a train. And I have the highest respect for people who do that, because that is their world and that's the choices they are making or having had to make. But that said, it doesn't change the fact that I have a skill, and it doesn't change the fact that the skill can be added. So the internet, and if I want to look for a job and it's not available in my social circle, like if I go back to work and if I tell somebody, please can you hire me, and if his organization does not have a position, you can't hold it against someone. Or if they if somebody does not choose to hire you, you can't hold that against someone. But does that mean you don't have that skill? Of course not. So then what do? You use internet as a platform to be able to display, to be present, and to be able to display your skill effectively, to be able to decimate that value that you carry and you have built consciously. So there are a lot of so coming to you also, like why am I not happier to invest my time and effort with some other blue jacket, orange specs, fancy hairdo people? Because you relate to some people, and then you are not able to relate to some more other personalities. Likewise, a lot of people may not relate to me as a personality, because that's just who I am, and not everybody will relate to. I'm not wacko, I'm not orange hair, I'm not, I'm not a lot of things that younger people are. So they
Yes.
may or may not relate to that. So personality, relation, and that's irrespective of the internet. So that's point one. So the fact still remains that internet is a nice way to break that social circle and the barriers that are put through either your social circle or your organization. So I call them bottlenecks. So they are bottlenecks to you not being able to share your skill. If you are good at something, you're in an organization and you are by VP, AP, DP, whatever P, you can either break the mold till a point, and at some point you'll cap out, either for age or for politics or for pyramid getting shorter or for whatever reason, you will cap out. So then what do? Does the skill also cap out with you? No. The internet and web presence is a fantastic way to be able to kind of break that mold and continue to grow. So that's part one. The second part is that over the last couple of months that I've realized very actively, and in fact, unfortunately, it got compounded with COVID. But it's not that COVID brought this. So when I used to go back to my banking friends and say, hire me, but I'll not come to work every day. I don't want to travel for 2 hours only to come and sit in front of a computer. They used to think I'm slightly cocky in my head, like, it made no sense to them. Unfortunately, it took an event like COVID for people to understand that you don't need to make me travel for 2 hours, because it's just how things were done. And it's got to do with power, it's got to do with whatever it has got to do,
It
but
has to. It has to,
it
because
beat common sense to travel just to sit in front of a computer which is connected. Like you do cyber security, you do whatever you want to do, but you don't have to insist that people travel. Look at what we are doing to ourselves. And the reality exists that we are all urban nuclear families, and in an urban nuclear family, should you choose to nurture a future generation, then you are responsible for it, and that responsibility comes not and that responsibility cannot be outsourced. If you want your children to be like you will have to physically spend time with them. So that's the third part of our realities. Now, I just happen to be the girl, so I happen to be the primary caregiver in the house. But it could have been my husband as well. But the fact still remains that at least one of us has to physically spend time with a child to be able to offer personality traits that we would like them to grow up with. But if you outsource that to a third person, then they will pick up those personality traits. And me, like feeling bad about it 5 years down the line, will not change much. So those were issues that got beautifully addressed by the internet. So going back to the point that the work still gets done outside meetings and interviews. Work still gets done online. I'll give you an example of a online community that I contribute my efforts to. So it was started by somebody in Mexico, and they're about 4,000 people strong right now. We're not even trying to add to people, but they're ever since I got involved with it, it just started adding. So one day I looked at the backend and I said, why are you not integrated to Google Analytics? So they said, oh, but nobody could do it for us. So I said, Acha, let me do it for you. So I integrated their Google Analytics to their website, which was already existing. And by the way, the website's quite, and it reads a lot of work. So I'll not name it right now. But the day I integrated Google Analytics, within say about a week's time, there were almost 280 visitors on it. So I refused to agree that people were waiting ki, oh, let's wake up tomorrow morning and Google www.whatever.com. Obviously, that was not the case. So work always got done offline. And all this is great to be able to decimate. So you're present, so which is why web presence, and decimate the skill that you have. The other thing that I've learned, which is very interesting in recent times, is that while we have these conventional definitions of, say, architect or doctor or interior designer who have fancy websites and people can do whatever digital marketing they want to do with it, something that was very interesting that I learned was that as people, you could have a set of skills which you want to talk about, which can either be a side hustle while you are still very well employed, or you have retired, or like you were interviewing somebody. I happened to browse today, your 62-year-old student. I was also just before we called, good, we could push it by 5 minutes. This lady I had started interacting with, she runs a beautiful setup. She's a, uh, she runs a setup for handmade pots, very pretty ones, slightly upscale. These are China-made pots. So she would say, finally, to matti hai. She's also battling it with the Chinese import, but her work is pretty. I like what she does. And she already, so she was telling me, Priyanka, I completely missed the bus on internet and digital. So I'm like, okay, let's look at what is possible. The point still remains that that is the skill that exists. And that is the skill, not just for the pots that she makes, but also the personality that she is. And there's a lot of marketing you can do around it, or you can mold it however. The
Yes.
fact still remains that these are lots of stories of everyday people who are doing what they're doing and need a larger audience than what their social circle can offer. Or what, so she, her pots would sell only at an exhibition and maybe some word of mouth, either say neighborhood, whatever. The fact still remains that it's good work and it should be respected for the work that she does and the personality she is. Now, unfortunately, she lost her husband to COVID within the last 10 days.
Okay.
And now yesterday when we chatted, she was like, you know, I sat down and figured out Google with her कि पहले आप Google का profile बनाओ, उसके बाद we will start talking about what all is possible. The fact still remains that the internet is a good place to break barriers and display skill, which is why I would still vote. When you and I get into an argument, I will still vote. It's called web presence, and
Okay.
you can argue about
Yeah, sure.
being called
Always up for
communication.
getting the perspectives challenged.
Always up for, yeah.
But
So,
yeah,
and where I found a commonality was the fact that it's communication.
yes.
And I call it communication, I call it web presence. And in fact, I go to the extent of calling it visualization, in which even your content to me is technically visualization. Because when you're writing down your draft, if you are any sensible writer of a say 400 word blog, in your sense, in your head, it's visualized like my first paragraph has to be this much. This is where I would introduce the shock element. This is where my body text will come in. This will be my call to action. So how is it not visualization? Like when I tell my daughter, who was learning ABCD not very long back, I used to say, yeah, so like, A is is drawing sound. That's when she got it. Like, she would draw, but she wouldn't write. So I would tell her, no, say, if you can say then you can draw So that's so I want to tell you my story of communication. I ended up in North Russia,
Oh,
and
you ended up in North Russia. Okay.
yeah, I ended up in North Russia somehow with a young family and no Russian. And North Russia means one Russia and two north of it. So even in Moscow airport, they're not like very friendly in terms of trying to have a long conversation in English. So Moscow was good introduction. We were another 2 hours away from
Okay, what were you
Moscow by
doing there?
flight,
Tell me more about it.
making snowman and getting frozen.
So
I'll share
yeah.
with you an article I wrote about my experience of living there. Nothing I could understand, including food. So Bagi Sahib was okay that you could get away with okay, I'll not go shopping. Or sometimes I used to get really fed up in the malls and I wouldn't understand anything. And if somebody would walk up to me saying, "Can I help you?" I'd say, "No, I'm deaf and dumb."
Mm, mm,
Because with the song and the dance and it was just very difficult to communicate. So my training in communication actually happened in a land where language was not a common ground.
mm,
And I learned how to kind of understand, on a web page, I learned how to understand unsubscribe would be like that last link somewhere in the line because it would be a whole page of Russian. And my understanding was you can only scale up so much. I wasn't planning to become no scholar,
mm,
but you still had to buy food, you still had to buy medicine, you still had to be able to speak to teachers of your children, you still had to be able to buy a ticket in a bus, and you did not have interpreters at all the time. Like for medical we would get an interpreter, but for other things like hobby activities, food, or just general shopping, or and how long can you not talk? So you if you like walking on the street and if you've like lost your way and your GPS stopped working, how do you ask directions? So those were things that you realized what communication actually means. So my training in communication happened, and that's when I started learning by observation as a thought.
mm,
And thanks to the DD5 program, it came to life in form of a .com. So I write about, of course, there's nothing about Russia on learningbyobservation.com,
mm,
but
mm.
that's when it started because you had to observe to just be able to survive, like just be able to pull yourself through a day and like just live like normal people live and figure out how it goes. So you have to buy food in Russian, and not everything was so straightforward. So that's that's
That would have
that's
been quite
that's
an
my story of communication.
to live in North Russia, and that would have been quite an
Yeah,
experience, right? It makes
it
you more
is. It is.
humble
It is.
when you travel to the far reaches of this world, and you come back
Yeah.
to your home base. You are not the
Yeah.
same cocky, idiotic person anymore. I think that
No,
would be
you have a lot of respect for life, and you have a lot of respect for what otherwise comes on a platter in many
mm, mm,
senses.
exactly.
So, like, when I came back and I was standing at the gate, and the guy came to me and asked me something in Hindi, and I was able to answer back in Hindi. I was like, "Oh, fine, this is done. There is no confusion anymore." Otherwise, he would have said something to me in Russian, and I would have been on back foot saying, "मैंने कुछ गड़बड़ कर दी है अभी पता नहीं किसको क्या." God only knows who I have to explain what to. And it was a learning experience of what you can and cannot do, but
Mm,
it was an experience. So that's when I started learning by observation, because that's really the only way I could survive,
yes.
and not just survive, thrive also. That it was my responsibility for myself and two more. So
Exactly,
it was a
exactly.
it was
Just having the opportunity to observe the world around us itself is a huge gift, which we, don't realize many times. We are just complaining all the time.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, so it was fun to have learned it along the way, the harder way, or the colder way, to be precise. So what
So
was I doing in your place?
I just stole that thought from you that getting people to travel for 2 hours a day to sit in front of a computer which is connected to the internet anyway, it's stupidity,
No.
and it's definitely about power, because
Yeah,
there is this term that I read in a book, which was like made me think a lot. It said shuttles are for slaves, and a
yeah,
shuttle takes you to where you are supposed to go, not where you want to go, right? So
yeah, yeah.
now you
Nicely said.
can, like, the pandemic has, like, made people realize in a harsh way that a lot of companies are thriving with remote working, and we are thriving. I think right now, um, this was probably good for us because now we don't have any limitation saying that the workplace is Bangalore, right? And Bangalore is high cost of living, and you are not able to attract talent. So now the entire team is spread all across India, and some of the most trusted team members I have not even met in person yet, and we are working so efficiently. So yeah, I
Yeah,
think
so it took an event like this. It just is so unfortunate for
yes.
us to just come back to common
Yeah,
sense.
yeah. I mean, imagine
When
like
I
all
try to
these people who claim themselves to be intelligent, rational, logical people. Um,
Yeah, it
like,
was very difficult. Like I
yes.
couldn't explain South Bombay bankers that listen, don't make me travel every day. Like if I have a meeting, I'll be there on time. Like,
Mm,
I'll be there on time. I'll
yes.
be my best self. I will be better read because I would have saved 2 hours trying to just not sit in a sweaty
Mm,
cab and just lived in peace. And I would have lesser nuisances which also just get piled up because it's not just work that we go to. Sometimes I hashtag on LinkedIn saying I'm not a white collar mill worker, but that's
yeah.
really not what I want to propagate. But that still doesn't change the fact that
Mm,
we can all do with more time and less labor class behavior that we all
yes.
are so comfortable with.
In
And
fact, long
that
back, before the advent of this whole corporate culture, we did not have organizations with thousands of employees or anything. Everyone was a value creator. The
yeah,
whole world was uh, using gold as the monetary medium, which cannot be inflated. In fact, I'm reading a book called The Bitcoin Standard, which basically gives a perspective that the world wars happened because of humans getting off the gold standard, because governments can print money and fund wars with no limit. That is
yeah,
basically stealing
yeah,
wealth from people directly, right? So when the whole world was in gold standard with gold coins and silver coins, the government could only raise money for wars by taxing people, and you can only do it so much, right? You can't do it like 80% of the wealth, you cannot take it out as tax. So people were like individual entrepreneurs. Somebody was a carpenter, somebody was a fisherman, and now slowly we are getting back there, right? It's
yeah,
this is a decentralized world,
yeah,
and no centralization. I mean, like the government just needs to make sure that the law is enforced, and everything else they can, like, stay out of their way. The free hand
yeah,
or
yeah,
the invisible hand of the market will take care of everything. There is no need of meddling with government for each and everything. So yeah, I mean, now people are like, everyone is like their own startup, right? I am a startup, you are a startup,
yeah,
and the brand is the personal brands that is getting empowered, not
yeah.
the corporate brands.
And the personal brand kind of transcends age as a factor. Like
Yes.
I find a lot of people who are so while digital marketing might be this social media thing with like wacko fancy young children being very maybe sometimes louder than you can handle, but it also extends to some very intelligent, well experienced people who walk the path of life. Like I started working with a lot of people who want to talk about their experiences, but they don't want
Mm,
to say naukri de do, yeah,
mm,
give me an assignment. But that
mm,
experience
mm.
doesn't go. Like there is nothing that takes away 40 years of experience that they have walked personally,
Mm, mm.
and that
Exactly.
deserves mention. And while everybody can't carry a CEO card, but
Yes.
I'm not too sure how much of that card is getting valued anyway, sitting in some drawer, not being found
Yes,
when
yes,
needed.
yes, exactly. And yeah, it's like you should not be like trying to like all these titles. I'm the VP, I'm the AVP,
Yeah,
I'm the president.
yeah,
All this has lost value, especially with people not socializing that much anymore, going to parties,
yeah.
and all these social gatherings are like, if you want to have real fun in a social setting, you need some five friends around you who can joke about you and you can
That's
joke about
enough.
them. That is what social life means, right? If you are like going to a conference, going to a party, then it's very stressful. Like for everyone, it's
Oh, it's
stressful. It's
very
a waste of
stressful.
time. It's a waste of
So
money
it's,
with so much money being thrown around, and then you are basically trying to.
yeah, and then and very often we're getting caught into that trap. Like, I
Yes.
didn't get invited to that conference. It was
Yeah.
happening at the Taj at blah blah place, and even when you're there, you're like you. And if you did get invited, then at least I used to be like, yeah, when is this going to finish? And can I
Yes,
just get the hell
yes.
out of here?
And imagine next 2 days you are like drained of energy, you are like drunk, then you
Yeah.
have a hangover, and then these parties have like a inner circle within them, like a VIP party which goes late
Yeah.
night, and then half the people are feeling bad. I am not
And
invited
then
to that.
half the time you want to be there, and the other half who don't want to be there don't know how to not
Yes,
be there. So
yes,
everybody is there being nice to
exactly,
each other. And
exactly. See, I used to feel left out. See, I'm like a tier two
yeah,
city, almost a village boy, right? It's Salem, it's like a population of 10 lakh. The airport hardly works, and I live in a farmhouse which is like 2 kilometers away from Salem. So I'm like a proper village boy. And I used to be wanting to be in this whole, fancy thing, like, corporate, parties, invitations and all that. And then I had that. I went to Bangalore and I got like bored of it like very soon. I was able to smell the bullshit very fast, and I feel unfortunate for the other people who are not able to, smell it.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I used to go to Chikmagalur in a time when there were no mobile phone signals. And I
Mm-hmm.
used to travel there, and I used to go by the state transport bus. And
Mm-hmm.
after some time, you were okay with it. Like, that's where the work got done. That's where the escape
Yes,
was. And
yes. In
that's
fact,
the only way to
the
get
kind of
diversified
work
affairs.
that you do, like creative work or writing something or creating something which adds value, is what will give you satisfaction as well. But when you look at it,
Yeah.
like a lot of corporate work, it's just the work of handling and managing other people and basically trying to manage your position in the social
Yeah.
hierarchy,
How quickly.
right? And
Yeah.
some people are
Yeah.
optimizing. I mean, optimize
You're
for some
optimizing your
creativity,
social
man.
hierarchy. So yeah,
Hmm.
put all that aside, make your own startup and become the
Yeah,
CEO.
I
Now let's
mean,
talk.
like reduce your cost of living, move to a village,
I
create
have lived in tier
something.
two cities. In fact, I was lucky enough to live in a small city in North Russia as well. Like
Hmm.
I didn't live in Moscow,
Okay.
and I didn't live in Petersburg either. And I was living in a very small city there. And I've lived in small cities for so long that it just made sense. Like it
Yes.
started to
Yes.
make sense to
I
be
mean, now
able
that you
to
have
not.
internet connection, which is a blessing, you don't need to be in a city to have a good internet connection. And you have like
Yeah,
SpaceX coming up with satellite internet and all those things. I mean, if somebody had 2 crore, it would be, such an idiotic move to buy a 2 crore flat in a
South
thousand
Bombay.
apartment complex in Bangalore, which is like hardly 1,500 square feet, and the water supply is not proper. And I mean, for two
Yeah,
crores, you can buy like 2 acre land with plenty of water supply, build a compound around it,
yeah.
have
Dig your
some,
own hole and get some food
yes,
also going around there.
yes, like, grow your own food, have pets, and basically
Yeah,
breathe better air. And it's not like India is like a congested place, right? It's just congested in the cities. I mean, try going
yeah.
from
It's
one
it's
city to
it's
the
really
another.
killing the city.
It's like,
Yeah.
it's like empty land everywhere, right? So there's like plenty of space out there. But yeah, I think there is a long way to go. And yeah, so
God only
one
knows if
point.
better sense will prevail because there are like
Hmm,
there is a certain method to the madness. At least the city
yes.
piece I don't see changing. Although it's very difficult for me to explain to somebody that it's okay to live in a small city and
Yes,
it's
exactly.
not that I'm any dumber because I didn't come from. Okay, so I worked in Delhi and I worked in
Mhm.
Mumbai and I worked. I traveled a lot, and you've done the jet set life, and I've lived in foreign lands. But
Mm, mm.
small cities they're just more sensible. Like
Yes, yes.
it's
Especially
just
when
more
you
common
like,
sense.
if your priorities are different. And on one point I wanted to tell was that this whole industrialization and having organizations with thousands of employees, it actually goes back to the point where the schooling system itself was invented to make people ready for this kind of large factories. And uh, initially,
Right.
it was not knowledge work. Initially, factories were all about assembly, manufacturing line, and you wanted people who will be obedient. You wanted people who will comply, who will stand in the assembly line, do assembling work from morning to evening, and not question authority, right? And you didn't want rebels. So the entire schooling system was made um, to
Yeah.
suppress the rebels and make sure that people are not rebels. But I was an anomaly. Have been getting into trouble since my school days with principal, school teacher. Half the time I was at principal's office, like, get out of the class, kneel down. How can you disrespect the teacher? And it went all the way to me being a rebel and being a rebel and getting into trouble with very big authorities. Like, those stories might
Yeah.
come out later, can't be like told in public right now. But like, you try to take the social hierarchy and see who is like the most authoritative in the social hierarchy. I have got in trouble with the top, right?
Very good.
That's how much of a rebel I have been,
That's
and
as
I
much
can't
trouble as
help
you could
it.
muster for
It's in my
yourself.
blood. Mm.
For you. Good for you. Maybe more trouble is more experience of how to manage the trouble.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like, now my biggest goal is not to get into trouble. Maybe like, at least with
That's
the
a good goal to have.
I don't want to get into trouble with
That's a
the
fair goal.
world powers right now. That's the next level. So at least I won't get there. I'm trying to either gain power myself through my own influence and my work through creating value. But overall, that's what I feel, right? The schooling system is not about creativity or intelligence. It's about compliance and teaching people not to
In
question
fact,
things
for
around
me,
them.
the schooling system, because we were moving a lot when my children were, at least my older child was younger, we were moving so much that I started deciding the syllabus.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
And it's
and
so
then I
ironic,
started
right? The whole uh, idea of trying to be creative, unique, and being successful out in the marketplace is about being tangential. And in school they ask you not to be tangential. Like they ask you, like, if I have to use the right word, they ask you to be not queer intellectually, right? That's what schooling system is
you're not
all
allowed to
about.
speak your mind.
Like just the society has something against the queer people, the schooling system has something against the queer minds. And
I think there are queer minds and their parents also.
yes,
That's
and again, ironically, the most ironic thing is that all these people would only end up getting jobs who have been intellectually tangential, who have tried new things, and that's where they end up. And I remember the days where my dad was also like, obviously, I wouldn't blame him because it's not he who is the enemy; it's the system who is the enemy, right? And my dad was saying that when I was like doing blogging, affiliate marketing, I was earning like $1,000, $2,000 checks and all through affiliate marketing. But my dad was like, you can never do this full time. You have to get a real job. And when I tried to get a real job, they made me sit in a lobby for 2 days. I had that job offer from an IT company in 2007 itself when I was in college. I went there by 2009 when they had the offer letter because recession times everybody postponed the joining dates. 2009 I went to Bangalore, Basavangudi, took a PG accommodation room for like 5,000 rupees per month, very small room, and a very congested place. The salary was what 22,000 is what you get in hand. And for that, they made me sit in the lobby for 2 days. There was no organization, nothing. And then they asked to sign a documents, conflict of interest, this, that, as if they are doing me a favor. And I called my dad, Dad, I can't like suck this up. Like I know that I won't survive in this. So my dad was like,
Mother
okay,
must be very
then
stressed.
you continue your blogging, come back. And then I lost that 5,000 advance I gave to that PG accommodation also. He said, I won't give it back. And I was like,
Go take out.
fuck it. No other way. I took a bus at night 2:30 a.m. I took a bus, came back with my bags to Salem like morning 6 a.m. And I was like relieved. Like, God, I cannot go there.
I can imagine. So
Yeah.
I didn't have any such stories. I loved my job while I did it, but I did rise to where I could, and I realized, okay, this is great, and I'd love the money, but it will have to change someday
See,
because
it's good. It's good if the
it
money
didn't
is
feel
good from the
stable.
beginning, right? If you have graduated from
Money was
MBA
fine.
and yeah,
So the one thing that I really realized for my children is that my parents maybe lived a world in which they had to make ends meet.
yes,
And
exactly.
now with them having had worked so hard, I
Mm,
don't have to I just have to keep sailing the boat. Like
yes.
I think I'll do fine without
Mm,
doing nothing.
mm,
There is enough financials that are floating. There
yes.
is some asset that we have built over time, and I'll be fine. But
Mm,
I think the one thing that I could do for my children, if I when I think through, and that's really possibly the case for many people who don't have to, get your uncles, daughters, neighbors, dog married, and that's not really the generation that we are living in.
mm,
That
exactly.
we can just
Mm,
let human beings just try to be more confident human beings, have the sensibilities to build on their own skill set and be able to make a living. But then that living does not have to be roti kapda makan. Matlab
yes.
the home is there, so they can always come back. Now can you do
Exactly.
better from here for yourself? Now can you pursue your interest? And if you have one at all, if you don't have one at all, then find one. And so I think Kamala Harris is Kamala Harris because she didn't have to like worry too much about safety when she went to her law school,
Yes.
and she didn't have to like think too much, or at least her mother had worked hard enough to not have to like continuously remind
Exactly.
her to
Entrepreneurs,
basically you don't have to.
it's not about risk
So I
taking. It's
think
about having a safety net. That's an unfortunate
yes,
reality,
so
and that
that
can be
safety
only
net I
given
think
by
that
the
teaches.
previous
Correct.
generation. Mm,
Yeah, so if I was that generation in which I had to get 100 people, like 20 people married, and then also fend for myself and and survival was like quite literally day to day, then I can't talk big. I
Yes,
can't talk big
yes,
to my children
yes,
saying, you go
yes.
live your thing. So had your father been like so hand to mouth, you coming back with your bag and baggage would have been, please
Would
take
not
the
have
next
been an
bus
option.
back.
Exactly. Right.
No, please take the next bus back and fend for your own self. So should
Mhm.
my children make that option, I wouldn't be so scared,
Yeah,
because maybe I
yeah.
would have brought them up well enough to say that,
Mm.
okay, if this didn't work out, but I'm still trying for something else. So and there is that safety net to be able to do it.
Mm.
So I always kind of do take that moment to thank the senior generation to be
Yes,
able to, like, provide what they did. So we are
yes.
kind of
We could do what,
not walking back
right.
home quite
Yes,
literally.
yes,
So
exactly. And
that's
it goes
also
all the way
something.
back to the ancestors and forefathers who,
Yeah, so because we've
yes.
been able to kind of tide over those
Mm,
minor basics,
mm.
which are not so minor
Like,
when they
even
come
though
to
my
be
dad did not have the opportunity to do what I do at his age, he had to be in a job. At least he had education, right? And he had education because
correct.
my grandfather worked as of in a farm,
Right.
being a farmer and
Right.
everything. Mm.
So my
Cool.
mother,
So,
like something I joke about is that my mom is a PhD, but my mom's mom is also a PhD.
oh
So
wow.
of the third generation, I'm the least educated in that sense.
Okay. Interesting. Mm.
So
Cool.
I
So
wanted to
I
take
think
this moment.
we
Yeah.
will wind up. It has been more than an hour,
Yes.
but it was an
Yes.
excellent conversation with you. Thanks a lot for your time, that too on a Sunday, which is usually a time that is taken
Yeah.
away from family time, I guess.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I do
before
don't
we
know how
close,
many times I've asked my children, don't be visible. Can you please go without making yourself?
exactly. So
Sorry.
before we end it, takeaways from the Digital Deepak internship program, and what do you feel about DDIP, and what do you think this is different from other courses and training programs, and what was the personal impact that you had from the course modules and from the structure of the program, which makes you do assignments?
Okay, so I think you got some basics right in terms of forcing people to do that assignment, and you've got a good model going there. And I do, with the bottom of my heart, wish it is remunerative. In fact, I bought your digital marketing program is because I just felt there is value in it. And should I have gotten all my money back, I still would have wanted to contribute to the effort you make. So I bought that program even while much later it was available for free of cost to interns. But when I had the option, I made that payment just
Mhm.
for that reason, that
Thank you.
it is worth the effort that has been made. So that's part one. My takeaway from it is the fact that there is a learning by observation, which is now live, a concept that had started almost 2 years before I came across that program. And because I had that idea, and because I was trying to evaluate my options, and I might have mentioned it sometime that you were working with Odesk, you were working with Upwork, and you were spending that much time on the internet, but you knew that what was always nagging you was why is somebody putting up so much information free of cost. So
Mm.
that why got answered in DDIP, and how and why of it got very well addressed during the internship. So that was the second takeaway. And of course, the third takeaway was my own concept that became alive. I'm currently working with a couple of people to bring their concepts to life. So, and these are people who are not, who are not talking about digital marketing and social media and being back on Instagram. These
Mm.
are educated, experienced individuals who genuinely have walked the path of life and would like to share that experience with an audience that they resonate with. So the other piece that worked for me in this program was really personalities, because when you hear somebody, you're always judging. So I'm sure you and I are judging each other at the moment, but you can look through. And sometimes a lot of this digital marketing, when I figured out, okay, this is called digital marketing, like it was not even a word I was searching for. I
Mm.
was only wanting to understand why are people putting up so much information on the internet free of cost, because it was good information. I was able to write what I wanted to write, and somebody was paying me for writing it.
Mm.
So
Mm.
why is somebody actually making this much effort, and where is the money coming from for somebody to continue to put that? Either it is bullshit that's being written, but it still would cost somebody. So why is somebody doing that? So those, while I was answering those questions, you could relate to personalities. I think everybody doesn't relate to everything. Let's not be frivolous about the word, which is why I don't use digital marketing on my resume. I call it web presence. And
Great. That's your
it is
term.
my
Capitalize
term.
on
And yeah,
it.
and I prefer to keep it that way. I'm glad I was in 2003 when I completely missed the bus on everything digital. So I never really understood, oh yeah, this is this, like isko ye bolte hain. So pardon my ignorance there.
No problem.
But I learned, so you resonate, and sometimes you resonate better. And that's probably when you start to kind of like, wanting to make that effort and follow it the way it is being decimated. That said, I must compliment you that the program has been structured well enough for somebody to be able to execute every bit for themselves and for somebody else, point to point. Like if it was a circle, it completes the circle. It completes the circle not just from conceptualizing your niche, but also to say, I think one of the most intelligent things that you talk about is do your webinar and or integrate your Calendly link. Now these are extremely minor details that are possibly missed by somebody who's not paying attention, but they are extremely relevant to somebody to complete the circle. Because after I've done my niche and after I've done my English on the website and after I've done my hosting and themes and all that, wo sab theek hai. But what happens after that? The website is obviously not a collection of my intelligence and my creative writing skills. It has to go somewhere and somehow. So it's interesting that I have been able to execute a project for somebody else as well. And, it was a test. It's quite literally the acid test of what got taught. So when you do it for yourself, okay, you do it and that's that. But when you do it for somebody else and charge money for it, is when it's the acid test of was you able to check off all the boxes, and was common sense able to drive that effort? And the answer to that is yes. I was able to execute a project for someone else, and I'm now, of course, very well placed to execute such projects for others because there is social proof of what I can and cannot do. But more importantly, I feel confident that I'm not cheating anybody. I feel confident that when I say I understand it, I'm not lying through my teeth or just somehow trying to get out of it by doing some shoddy patchwork job and say, okay, okay, this is it and this is how it will be now. This is done, pay up. Which is what sometimes digital marketing agencies might want to harbor upon, saying that I'm not sure who does what, but I don't comment on other people's work. But that's also the feeling I get from a lot of people who speak, because it's a word that gets abused otherwise. So
Yes.
while there is value, there is a lot of abuse that is possible, and it's that abuse should really be addressed by people like those who can, so that a good space does not get deteriorated or does not get spoiled.
Exactly.
So it's been a good experience to complete the circle, and appreciate the effort you make.
Fantastic. Thank you. So that was my entire goal, that it should not be just teaching people like one part of something. It has to be like a holistic thing, right? That's why it starts with a mindset training, and then you select the niche, and then it's like you do a little bit of everything so that you get the experience in it. Because once you do it for the first time, then it's not alien to you anymore, and then you are not afraid to do it anymore. Because see, teaching someone something like extremely complex theoretically versus getting them to do the action on the smallest level makes a world of difference, right? If I can, like, I can talk about how to sell like I can write an entire book, I can create an entire course on how to sell. But let's say 1,000 people buy that course. How many people will actually get on a sales call and do their first sales pitch? That first sales pitch is more valuable than all this content, right? I mean, you can't learn how to swim by reading a book about swimming or cycling for that matter, right? So I'm not in the business of education, right? A lot of people think that I'm running an edtech company. It's not. It's the focus is not education. The focus is like getting people to take the action. And how do I take the action? I end up getting them to make a bet with me, and if they succeed with that bet, then they get rewarded, right? So it's an action tech company, if you have to put it that way.
Yeah. Very interesting. So in fact, I must also say a little bit of a side fallout of something that came from the internship is that we did a bit on ConvertKit, and you suggested for one of the assignments, please use only ConvertKit. And then you get you get involved with the mailing list of ConvertKit, and now they're running a program saying that please we'll do what we need to do for you to be able to do your email lists. So after the program, you never did your email list, but now ConvertKit is encouraging you to do that email list for X number of subscribers, and just follow what they say. So these are these little minor bonuses that might come along, but it did start with the DD program. So yeah, it's nice to know that this also happened.
Yes, interesting.
It's been nice.
Cool. So thanks a lot, and we'll definitely catch up again after a while.
That'd be nice. I'm looking forward to work with things like Optimize, and I did some bits on my own website, but then there's a bit of so the guy who I worked with, he was some American, I think, and then he said, "Oh, low traffic websites, so we're not too sure what the results are." But that's the space that I want to work more with. So if there's something that you have in mind, let's connect over that as well.
Sure, definitely.
See how it pans out, because there's a lot of stuff happening with A/B testing and Google Optimize and all sorts of things. So it'd be interesting to build that skill.
Yes, definitely. We'll see how we can take it forward. So thanks a lot, and have a great week ahead. Thanks for your time.
You too. Take care of yourself.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Nice meeting you.
You too.